What if the warmest mother on television was hiding the coldest secret on set? For decades, Little House on the Prairie felt like comfort food. Pa's wisdom, Ma's steady smile, kids racing through fields of sun-gold wheat. Yet right behind that postcard scene sat a power struggle so sharp it almost tore its matriarch apart. Karen Grassle, now in her 80s, has finally unpacked the private battles she fought with the show's all-powerful star creator, Michael Landon. Her revelations have collided with a 50-year fan celebration, a buzzy Netflix reboot, and a brand new round of culture war skirmishes. The result? A story that's equal parts nostalgia and shock, and it's still unfolding. Stick around because every twist makes the Prairie feel a little less peaceful. He ran the whole town and the show. Michael Landon wasn't just the face of Charles Ingalls. He was writer, producer, sometime director, and final word on every pay stub. Cast and crew joked they orbited Planet Landon because each decision, scripts, call sheets, even lunch breaks flowed through him. That control helped him craft episodes that still top streaming charts, but it also meant no one could push back without risking a job. After Bonanza, Landon knew creative clout was worth more than any network bonus, and he wore it like a sheriff's star. One co-star was about to test how far that power could stretch. A friendly offer turns into quiet tension. When Karen Grassle first read for Caroline Ma Ingalls in 1973, she thought she'd won the lottery. Steady work, a heart-rich script, and a leading man who seemed protective. For the first season, everything felt fine. Long days, yes, but plenty of laughter and a shared mission. Underneath, though, salaries were anything but equal. Grassle later learned she earned less than half of some male colleagues who appeared only a few times a month. The imbalance sat like a stone in her gut, yet she kept smiling, hoping good ratings would fix everything. But asking for fairness lit the fuse. The raise request and the script scalpel. Season 2's breakout success gave Grassle the nerve to ask Landon for a modest bump. Nothing close to his paycheck, just respect on paper. His reply wasn't rage, it was rewrite. Overnight, Caroline's heartfelt speeches shrank, family table scenes vanished, and Pa's hero moments ballooned. Crew members whispered that Landon had gone surgical, trimming Grassle's impact line by line. Viewers barely noticed. They still saw Ma comforting her children, but Grassle felt every missing page. Humiliation, however, wasn't finished with her yet. Jokes that cut deeper than TNT. Landon loved a locker room laugh. At first, his teasing sounded harmless, but once the pay clash happened, the humor turned sharp. Before an intimate scene, he cracked a crude remark about Grassle's body, loud enough for the boom mic to catch. The room erupted in nervous chuckles while she swallowed her fury and hit her mark. One slur stung so much she later called it a punch you can't bruise from. There was no HR department in 1970s Hollywood, and confronting the boss could brand an actress difficult. She masked the hurt with what she called prairie wine courage, a habit she fought to break by 1977. Silence became her armor, but armor grows heavy. Why she stayed quiet and paid the price. Grassle's resume leaned on Shakespeare and regional theater. Primetime roles for women over 30 were rare. Walk away and she risked disappearing. Speak up and she risked being blacklisted. So she chose survival. Show up early, hit every cue, keep the public facade glowing. Inside, the weight of pretending built year after year. By the end of the original run in '83, she felt hollowed out, signing autographs while dreading questions about Landon's wonderful leadership. Decades would pass before that hollow space finally cracked open. The memoir that broke the spell. Turning 80 gave Grassle new courage. In 2023, she published Bright Lights, Prairie Dust, layering childhood struggles, Broadway dreams, and at last the reality of working beside a man who could be both mentor and tormentor. The revelations landed softly. No tabloid fireworks, just millions of readers quietly re-evaluating their TV dad. Former crew members emailed confirmations, some apologized for laughter they now regretted. Even child star Melissa Gilbert praised Landon's guidance, yet admitted he sometimes pushed too hard. Yet not everyone took the memoir as gospel. Defenders, doubters, and a split legacy. Many fans clung to the pa they adored. Gilbert, incredibly loyal, reminded interviewers how lovingly Landon coached the kids. Podcasts lit up. Some hailed Grassle as a whistleblower, others called her bitter. Online forums erupted into side-taking, but one truth trumped all debate. Both actors could be right. Landon's warmth toward children didn't erase the chill Grassle felt. That duality is what makes the story sting. Then came a revelation that tore the curtain even wider. Buried affair, public fallout. Mid-series, Landon's private life burst into public view. Reporters learned he was seeing Cindy Clerico, a teenage stand-in nearly 3 decades his junior. Crew members recalled him bragging about the romance at lunch, seemingly unaware or unconcerned that his wife Lynn No might hear through the grapevine. When the affair surfaced, Grassle noticed a shift. Landon's jokes grew louder, riskier, as if daring anyone to challenge him. By 1982, the Ingalls set felt like two worlds, one glowing for cameras, the other humming with whispered judgments. And the shockwaves didn't stop at the studio gates. Forgotten voices stepped forward. Allison Arngren, forever Nellie Olson, later said she loved Mike like a dad, but saw him steamroll people if they got in his way. Dean Butler remembered Landon's open-door mentoring, yet admitted he avoided salary talk after watching Grassle's role shrink. These mixed memories form an uneasy mosaic, each tile truthful, none complete on its own. Their recollections set the stage for today's headline battles. Netflix reboot ignites the culture war. Early 2025, Netflix orders a 10-episode reboot. Within hours, critics vow online to ruin the series if it gets woke. Gilbert fires back, reminding everyone the 1970s show tackled racism, addiction, and abuse decades ago. Streamers thrive on controversy, and this feud hands them free marketing. But the casting reveal pours even more oil on the fire. Fresh faces, familiar shadows. Netflix unveils its Ingalls family. Alice Halsey as Laura, Skywalker Hughes as Mary, Luke Bracey and Crosby Fitzgerald as Charles and Caroline. Diversity notes, an Osage plotline, a black schoolteacher, sparked both applause and anger. Landon's adult children issue a cool statement. We respect creative freedom, but we stand by Dad's vision. Fans dissect every line, wondering if the reboot will nod to Landon's off-camera flaws or will keep the halo intact. While Twitter burns, Grassle makes one move that melts even cynics. A letter of peace before the final curtain. In 1991, as Landon battled terminal cancer, Grassle penned a single-page letter. She thanked him for the opportunity, offered forgiveness, and wished him peace. A mutual friend later told her he read it and cried. The note gave her a release no contract ever did. She calls it "my secret exhale." Sharing that detail in her memoir softened some critics, proof that closure sometimes whispers instead of roars. Yet Landon's last big gesture was anything but quiet. The day Walnut Grove blew sky high. Few finales are as literal as Little House, The Last Farewell, an episode where Landon scripted the dynamiting of every town building.
Melissa Gilbert later revealed he was furious NBC canceled the show without calling him, so he ensured no one could reuse those sets. Fans saw a poetic ending, insiders saw a final flex of power. Either way, the blast showed how Landon built and dismantled his world on his own terms. 5 decades later, the rubble still sparks debate. Modern reckoning on screens big and small. TikTok edits now contrast Ma's calm sermons with clips from Grassle's interviews, racking up millions under hashtag Prairie Truth. College film classes assign her memoir alongside episodes, asking students to map where fiction ends and lived experience begins. Meanwhile, Grassle funds a grant for intimacy coordinators on low-budget sets, a guardrail she wishes she'd had in 1975. But the modern conversation isn't just academic. It's echoing deep into fandom itself. Echoes in the farmhouse of fandom. You'd think a show that wrapped before MTV launched would sit quietly in the vault. Instead, Little House keeps finding new life and fresh drama each time it pops up on a modern screen. Reddit sleuths swear Landon kept a coded set diary still locked in his estate. TikTokers remix old bloopers, pointing out every side-eye Grassle shot across the table, claiming they can see the tension in real time. Podcast hosts tease a lost interview tape, where crew members joke about Planet L. A Hollywood blog even hints MGM has optioned a docuseries built around Grassle's memoir and recently surfaced production memos. Collectibles spark their own obsession. One wagon wheel prop sold for 5 figures last fall, mostly because rumor says Landon scrawled a salty joke under the axle. Grassle's calico dress now tours memorabilia expos. Its display plaque bluntly mentions her pay dispute. Even the replica Ingalls cabin in Kansas added a truth corner, inviting visitors to read excerpts from Bright Light's Prairie Dust beside the usual quilt demos. All of this proves the Prairie isn't frozen in nostalgia, it's alive, buzzing, constantly recalibrating every time another secret pops loose. And each relic, rumor, or rewatch nudges the legend one shade closer to reality. Which leads to the question that ties every thread together. Why the story still matters. Grassle's voice joins a wave of late-in-life truth-telling sweeping Hollywood. Her account doesn't cancel Michael Landon, it complicates him. Viewers now wrestle with a fuller picture, a visionary who lifted ratings and sometimes crushed collaborators' spirits. In an age when streaming giants resurrect old franchises, knowing what happened behind the curtain shapes how audiences judge the remake. Will writers nod to Landon's darker edges, or will nostalgia win the day? No one knows. What's clear is that Karen Grassle's decision to speak reshaped a legacy many thought was sealed in amber. And that leaves us with one final reflection. Every rerun starts the same. Pa's wagon creaks over a quiet rise, Ma smiles through sunlit dust. But now the scene plays differently. Behind that smile, we picture a woman weighing silence against survival, a man juggling genius and ego, and a future cast walking into a story still hot with argument. Maybe that tension is useful. It reminds us legends are stitched from both light and shadow, and hearing the whole tale only deepens our love for the parts that were genuine. So next time you queue up a classic or sample Netflix's Reboot, listen for what isn't said as much as what is. Because on the Prairie, as in life, the quietest voices can change the story forever.